is no way we as South Africans are going to stop Africans coming to South Africa. No way. I don't care how many electrical fences you build. It's going to happen.
Answer the President Thabo Mbeki. President Thabo Mbeki has always been a denialist of what works. This president, as a matter of fact, he's a failure of a president. And I don't understand why they are building that university or whatever institute of leadership, maybe to maintain his legacy. Legacy of failure. We are living through the failure of the legacy of Thabo Mbeki now. When I tell people that the reason we are in this mess is because fundamentally of this man, load shedding, he is first to deny that there is a growth of population. Primarily or in part because of the influx of foreigners. He was warned and told by ESCOM being supported by the then New National Party, I think, before they became DA, or they had just become the DA. I can't remember. Hey, daughter, the population is growing. We must build more power stations. No, ntanga. Time ahana. When they were asking for more budget, up until for the very first time in South Africa, we had a what we call load shedding. It was not a blackout. Then he was forced to make a speech that is called business as unusual. Go and read that nonsense of a speech. Because Ntaten Thabo Mbeki is always a denialist. He is an intellectual fool. He always denies what is practically and feasibly works. He is a denialist. President Thabo Mbeki is a denialist. He is the same man that denied when he was told HIV causes AIDS. HIV causes AIDS. Ahana habatwafuadi antiviral whatever pills. The ARV, I don't know what they were called there, or they still call they still call ARV by then. I don't know. And there was a massive death, unaliving of many people, of things that could have been prevented if finances were released to combat this thing, I mean, AIDS. When Zuma came into power, then he did that funding, and then the problem was minimized or solved. President Thabo Mbeki has always been a denialist. My father tells me, and he's another timer also says the same thing. They don't like him. They don't like Thabo Mbeki. They say that this is a man, my dad tells me, and that Thabo Mbeki, when South Africa from the apartheid time, and when they came into power, they had the reserve of petrol. Ntanga irekis, ntanga, President Thabo Mbeki irekis. Time and time. Apparently, one of the statements that he said was that why there's so much petrol being stored, I mean, these people want to bend the country. Thabo Mbeki, we are in this mess, Mr. President, because of you. A denialist. He was told, hey, your national commissioner, the late Ndate Jackie Slaby, I think he's part of the body of Interpol by then. The late Ndate Jackie Slaby, he's involved in shenanigans, studied drugs. He was told, the national commissioner there, I don't know, bring me evidence. He was told that the Thabo Mbeki. I can mention many things. A denialist of note. Buildings became dilapidated in his era. They began. The deterioration started in his era. In our cities. When illegal foreigners started flocking here. And he was told, I think in his time, that's when we had what we call so-called xenophobic thing. When our people from KZN tried to solve this problem, hey, we are being invaded. He telling us that we should allow this nonsense to continue at the expense of the taxpayer. We are straying Ubaba Mbeki. We are straying Ubaba Mbeki. We are straying my South Africans. Dear Mr. President, continue to enjoy your pension, your new Institute of Learning, whatever, leadership, and that Buxton of and take pictures of Yuli Mbeki and enjoy your pension and take pictures of her with that Buxton of a camera. Oh, Pumagit, and allow South Africans to deal with this problem of illegal foreigners as best as they know how and what works. And allow South Africans to chart their future. You were president, you failed. You were recalled by your own party. How we should move forward. If you want to know this man failed, ask Bra Ike. Bra Ike Kumalu will tell you. All of faith you owe. Ndato of faith you Ndate Thabo Mbeki. He should sit down, ahlale phansi, and enjoy his pension. With all due respect. By the way, Minister Kodongwana, because he was answering that question, is right because it is heavy on the taxpayer. That Mbeki has always been a denialist. Even the budget minister Kodongwana has to admit that illegal foreigners are really costing us and they are a burden on the taxpayer. We are enough.